Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of College Football UK. As ever, I am your host, Fletch, and this podcast is brought to you by the AAW Network. Joining me this week is Gary. How are you, Gary?
I'm doing all right considering the weekend that just was.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute,
No, don't.
obviously.
Let's not.
No, we will. Joining us also, unfortunately, we've got no Sam this week, and by the looks of things, no Nick, but we have a returning guest for the third time on the podcast and the first time since July. We have Adam from CFB UK View. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, Fletch. Good to see you both. Thanks for having me on again. I can't believe it's been 2 months since I was last on. It feels like so much has happened since. So yeah, really ready to go.
If you are on YouTube, I dare you to look over at Adam's screen, Adam right now, and just double check if you can guess what team he supports, who he's riding with this season. Um, it's a really difficult one to figure out. I can tell you that.
It's a toughie. It's a toughie.
So, before we get into the episode, we have to do I always call them house rules. They're not house rules. House rules are things like take your shoes off at the door. These aren't those kind of things. Head down to the description of this episode. In the description of this episode, you will find how you can follow the AAW Network, the College Football UK podcast, and find the links to collegefootballukview.com, which is Adam's site, where there are a lot of very, very, very good in-depth articles where you will either learn a lot or walk away with a headache. I do both of those things simultaneously whilst looking at that at your blogs there, Adam.
I get the same when I write them, to be fair.
But you can,
That makes us feel so much better in a
yeah,
strange way.
yeah. But yeah, you can find the links to follow Adam on social media and go to collegefootballukview.com and see all the amazing things that Adam is doing. Then follow the AAW network, follow us, and follow Gary and myself. One big piece of information now is there are no more, well, there are links in there. Some things just have to be linked, but there are buttons. Things like social media are now buttons, which is really exciting. And I learned how to just code those little things in there
It's
over
exciting for
these
some people,
last few days.
i.e., him.
Yes, I'm proud of myself, Gary. I learned something new this week.
Every day's a school day, as
Every
we've
day.
no doubt found out about college football this week.
And finally, the one that I would recommend everyone do is join our Discord server. It is free to join. We have plenty of channels. The football season's well underway, and you would have been very, very lucky on Friday night if you were about
Slash Saturday morning.
slash Saturday morning, where you could have joined Gary and myself to watch the game as we did in the Discord server. No, more importantly, let's get on to the actual college football. We have some news. The main bits of news are that the Arkansas Razorbacks head coach Sam Pittman was fired on Sunday. Was it Sunday or was it Monday that it came out? I think it was Sunday.
Monday over here, possibly
Yeah,
Sunday
late
over.
Sunday.
Yeah.
I think Sunday in States, but broke over here sort of Monday morning-ish.
Yeah. So he was. Sorry, let's go back to the top of this page here. That'll help a lot more. Been head coach of Arkansas since 2020. Before that, he was the assistant head coach and O-line coach at Georgia, coach at Georgia, and the assistant head coach and O-line coach at Arkansas from 2013 to 2015. He's bounced around and had a lot of jobs over his career since 1984. But this was his second head coaching job, previously at Hutchinson, which is a junior college, in 1991. No, sorry, 92 to 93 he was the head coach there. Like I say, he's bounced around since. The result, it came after they got their bums handed to them by Notre Dame.
Yes, safe to
Just
say.
a little bit.
A little bit.
And he leaves with a 32-34 record as head coach. Was this the right The 2-3 record as well this season, by the way. Was this the correct decision for Arkansas to make, particularly at this point in the season?
Makes you wonder what's going on internally because, like you say, the record isn't terrible. Yes, they got their butts handed to them by Notre Dame, but Notre Dame aren't necessarily a bad team. So it just strikes me that there's something else going on behind the scenes, and maybe the way he's been seen to handle some of the NIL stuff, all the workings of the modern college game haven't been
Mhm.
considered up to scratch. But it just strikes me it's a funny time. It wasn't the worst result. It was not a great result, but you know, there's must be something else there, I think.
Yeah.
It's fair. I mean, although, it's not the worst time, but, we've talked about it last week about is it too soon to let, coaches go now? With there's already seems to be a bit of a coaching carousel. I, it had to be done. I think because other colleges have already kind of fired the cannon and gone, right, that's it, we're
Yeah.
making changes, you're gone. They were almost in a situation where they had to because they've not started well. They got the, handed to them, as we've just mentioned. They need to change it, maybe doing it now in preparation for the single portal that is coming in January. If they left it too long, maybe the person that they want, who has just become available because they've just been fired from somebody else, might not be there in the next week or two. It could be one of those weird sort of
Yeah, it
he's
does feel
gone
like
because
dominoes
they
tend to
want.
fall,
Yeah,
don't
it's like, oh, hang on, he's available. We liked him prior to getting Sam. Is there a reason why Sam's gone? Because it might mean that we get da 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 da. I don't know, but if they don't do it now, they might miss the boat for getting the person in that they want, and then for the transfer portal in January might not be
Yeah.
as beneficial. Da, 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 da. There's a whole load of dominoes, but
they? Yeah.
Well,
it's better this week than it was last week, the week before with the other coaches. But I don't know.
well,
Yeah.
this week's game will obviously get a mention in just a little bit as we go through the week 5 results, but I'll just give you a quick week 1. They beat Alabama A&M 52-7. They beat Arkansas State 56-14, and then since then they've gone on a 3-game losing streak, losing by 6 points on the road to 17 ranked Ole Miss at the time. It's not a bad
Not a
result.
bad loss. I mean, as we've talked about strength of losses, that one's pretty high on the strength, considering where Old Miss are now.
Lost then a week later by a point to Memphis, who ended up being ranked after that game
And are still unbeaten this week, I
on the
believe.
road. And then this week they lost 56-13 at home to Notre Dame, who are 22nd, 22 ranked,
Still
going
shouldn't be, but
into the week.
anyway.
One thing that might make a little bit of sense is if they do think, because their next, given the schedule here, which I'll go through in a second, if they think that just the way, you go on a 3-game losing streak, things are starting to get a bit out of hand. If you think you just need a fresh face, someone needs to take the blame, but you just need a fresh face, some fresh ideas, and just kind of bump things up a little bit, the season might be salvageable in terms of a bowl game, which obviously makes schools a lot of money. So they've got coming up, they've got a bye week this week, which is where I think it makes a lot of sense because your interim head coach, whoever's acting, has an extra week to just get accustomed and adjusted to the season and to being within that role. Then you've got to go on the road to Neyland Stadium against Mrs. Fletcher's Tennessee Volunteers. That's not going to be a pretty game.
Well,
Then
no, the
you've got
Volunteers are bad.
Texas
Sorry.
A&M at home. You've got Auburn
She's gonna
at
love me for that.
home. Mississippi State at home. Then you're on the road to LSU, on the road to Texas, and then at home against Missouri. 4 wins there needed to make a bowl game out of those 7 games. Cutting it fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, the SEC.
You need some things to go your way for that to get eligibility.
Yeah, to do that, you're going to have to beat at least, at bare minimum, one of Tennessee, LSU, Texas, two of, sorry, Texas A&M, Tennessee, LSU, and Texas. At least 2 of those.
LSU should be doable considering they look like they're frauds.
Oh no,
Oh, too early, too soon, too soon.
one of them, because you've also got Auburn, who also will be a tough game. They've recently been ranked. Mississippi State, who've hovered about some of that ranking,
Yeah.
some of the rankings, and then Mizzou as well, who are also ranked. So yeah, they've got a lot of ranked teams coming up.
Mm.
But that's the thing it is. I know, Adam, you mentioned that there is a young man in Oregon who's requested to be redshirted.
Yes, so Micaiah Hughes, coming into the season, I think when we sat down last time, I might mention Micaiah Hughes' name as someone I was really looking forward to watching. Running back transfer from Tulane over the off season. He's not really found a role. We came out against Montana State, rolled through them, and you're looking around the field and thinking, oh, I haven't seen much of Micaiah Hughes. And as the games have gone on, he's not really managed to find a place. So, we're 5 games in. After game 4, he didn't travel to Penn State, and he's asked to redshirt, and it looks like we've agreed to that request. So he'll sit for the rest of the year, preserve the eligibility. Whether he wants to give it a go somewhere else, whether he feels he really wants to do it with the Ducks, but maybe next season, when we have a bit of refreshing of the running back room, we'll see. It sounds like a sensible thing to do given how deep we seem to have been so far. And I think I checked earlier, we've got 4 guys over 100 yards, one of them which is our quarterback Dante Moore. So he was not going to see a lot of time on the field. So it seems like a sensible decision all round. And I'm glad Coach Lanning's taking a sensible view with it.
Okay.
But it's interesting. It shows the depth that we seem to have at the moment across the board, that we can afford to do that. So yeah, interesting one that.
Yeah, it's surprising in a way, as you say, but he was so highly touted coming out, whatever else. But it's also indicative of just because you're highly touted and you're a great prospect and whatever else, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to walk in and start playing straight away. And then maybe it's a reality check for him. He might have gone in there going, I'm the big man, I'm going to be your starting running back. And then he's gone, geez, these guys are better than me at the minute. They're stronger, bigger, faster, whatever, because, that's just the nature of college sports. You walk out of high school, you're not going to be as big as fast as some of the other guys. So maybe it's a reality check. Maybe it is a very sensible, mature, idea. As we said, red shirts for this year continues another year of eligibility, then gets carried over. Maybe there's not so much competition for places next year. He's got a chance to. Don't know. When he's redshirting, he can still train and play and do all. Not play, but he can train with the team and do all the stuff, right? Or
I do so, yeah. Yeah, you're
you
still
get a
in and
chance to learn
around
the
the
playbook
vicinity.
and get in and do all the functional things that maybe his game doesn't have right now in preparation for being that guy next year. So all round, it just seems an absolutely sensible thing to do to not ruin a year of his time, not lose a year of his eligibility, make sure he's still around the team, make sure he still feels part of it, but also not impact on him negatively. It seems a sensible win-win solution all around, unless of course he ends up in the portal in January, and then everyone's like, "The frick!"
Yeah,
and then we're back to, is there something deeper underneath, behind the scenes that if somebody comes out from high school that highly touted, gets redshirted, and then gets booted into the portal, you'd think other organizations and other colleges would be going, "Where's the red flag here? What's going on? There's something else, right?"
yeah, and hopefully it's nothing like that. I think it is just congestion in the room. Others have come out so hot. What do you do?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. And no, my luck with sports teams, we'll have an injury crisis now, and we'll get to November, and we'll be.
I've just read the Thursday night football injury report for my special teams. Good Lord. I don't think we'll have an offense. Anyway.
I mean, you'd be picking people off the streets of San Francisco.
They'll be on the waiver wire. They'll be smashing that waiver line.
Yeah. As we've already said, the San Francisco 49ers offense is basically an ICU.
Yep. No QB, no running back. No, we've got a running back. No wide receivers. No tight end. It's doing well. Doing well.
Put a
Get over
word
there,
in
you might
with.
get a game.
I'm gonna say put a word in with your boy.
Pad up,
We'll
let's
head
go.
over.
Yeah,
Just cover,
Levi South. Yeah, it's fine.
cover flights and somewhere to crash for a couple of nights. We'll do it. I'll join.
Yeah,
I'll play.
24 hours. Fly in, play a game, get out. Jet lag. Who needs jet lag? It'll be fine.
The other NFL teams are doing it this year.
I
Anyway,
can catch better than Kendrick Bourne, that's for sure. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
yes. So there is one other bit of news that we brought to your attention a couple of weeks ago that the Arizona State Sun Devils and the Kansas University Jayhawks were in talks to bring their 2026 matchup to this little place called London, right? All the way down south of the United Kingdom. That has been confirmed today, only a few hours before we recorded this podcast. Very exciting news. College football is coming to the UK, and that is to be now added to what will likely be a slate of 3 college football games in
Count them,
Europe.
folks. 3.
In Dublin, we will have TCU UNC. Still not confirmed yet, but likely to take place is Western Michigan versus Michigan in Frankfurt. And then in week 3 of the college football season, we will have Arizona State and Kansas.
Have we worked
in
out who's at home there?
Wembley
Is it
Stadium.
Arizona at home to Kansas?
It's Kansas. It's Kansas are at home. They were due to have the home game. I think this was a couple of weeks ago. There is actually a reason by it, because we've been asked this question: why? They've just got a brand new stadium. Why are they doing it? Well, one really important piece of information is that actually that they're doing some renovations to it and doing like the phase 2 of getting the stadium up and running next year. So the stadium will be at a reduced capacity. This is the perfect opportunity for them to take away the worry of that reduced capacity and say, right, we'll fly one of the games out to another country and
go for a massive
that.
capacity stadium that will, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so the game will be played at Wembley Stadium. It will be a week 3 game. It will not be your usual week 0 game that we are used to having, and we'll have 2 of this year. Look, there are trepidations about this game. There are some concerns that have been raised. Both sides of the pond, very different concerns depending on which side of the pond that you're on. But it's an exciting opportunity, hopefully, for us to get to see some college football. And as great as week 0 is, the players will be slightly warmer. They will be slightly more into rhythm. The playbooks will be slightly more open.
Yeah, and it's growing the game, which I get in this Big 12. And it seems to be, they are pushing quite hard on their international footprint. So maybe, definitely leaning into that, and we're all for it. There are trepidations. It's Wembley. It's a big stadium. It's awkward to fill. It's a week 3 game. What else is happening around? Will it get lost in the international series build up for the NFL games? Because it's not quite at the same sort of time, but it's that when the NFL international series starts to bang its own drum, will it get lost in it? Will it get wrapped into that? Will it be clever enough to kind of go, hey, Arizona State, you're flying there to watch the college game. We'll bring the Cardinals over and make it a whole Arizona weekend.
Yeah,
feels the tour. Why not? Somebody should got to think about that, because it is a massive undertaking. We've sung the praises of the College Football Classic in Ireland and the work that they've done with the Irish Tourism Board and everything else to make that the event that it is. The trepidation on our side is obviously from knowing Wembley and knowing how it is. It's not as easy to integrate into London as it is at Dublin. The Aviva Stadium is walking distance. It's just down the road and you're right there. Wembley is a bit, North London, a bit of a hike, and it's a bit further away. And also travel and whatever else. But, from a plus point, 3 games, a proper live sort of inter-conference game in the middle of the season, not the beginning of not week 0 preseason, which some of the previous games have been. Plus points all round. We're all just on tenterhooks now for ticket information and what's next. The teasers are out, the socials are starting to eke out there, but yeah, there's a lot of who, what, why, where, how, what, how, when, and so a lot of questions, not many answers right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great to have more football here. It's another opportunity to watch college football. So I'm all for it. And I think international expansion has to form a part of the college football plans because there's only
Where
so
else they're
much
going to get the
domestic
money? Yeah.
expansion. That where else does the money come from in this revenue share? Look at that. I managed to turn this into money and finance again, didn't I?
There we go. There we go.
You know,
There's a headache coming already.
it's headache coming already. But it's got to come from somewhere. It's got to come from international. The UK is a big market. There's a strong following here. So, let's see what they can do with it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just on that, Gary, as well, though, one of my thoughts today has been price point is so big, and I know
Mm.
that there's been the discussion of this within some of the chats that we've had. Price point is so important, and one of the places I'm thinking of is actually where being just before the NFL International Series games could really be like really genius, right? Because what we're seeing right now, I'm getting emails today
Mhm.
saying the game on Sunday,
Tickets available.
we've still got tickets, right?
Shocking, right?
Not for a better price than they were a few months ago. Like, I think we've still got tickets, we've still got tickets. Now, I remember 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if you wanted a ticket right now at this
Yep.
time in the year, good luck not paying double the price from a ticket out. They were
Yeah.
sellouts, comfortable sellouts. There's no train strike that, as far as I'm aware, this weekend. There's nothing like that getting in the way,
Nope.
as
It's
they've had
just
the excuse of over the last couple of years. The big problems that they have got right now are ticket pricing and pricing out the fans, the removal of the season tickets, but it's ticket pricing and the game is too expensive to just attend, let alone if you're from someone like myself. He's got to travel all the way to London, probably going to have to get some form of accommodation, if not travel back that very same night, and it's a very, very, very long day. It's
Mhm.
very expensive just to get in the ground. If you have a more affordable alternative, then the football fans, the NFL fans that really want to get to a game, that are itching to get to a game, now have an actual American football game featuring two American
Mhm.
teams at a better price point, which could in turn provide to be the alternative that at least an alternative that more people. You won't
Yeah.
get every single one of them turning up, the ones that want the tickets,
You'll
but
get
what you
you'll
will
get the
get
I want NFL only team. You'll get the NFL
yeah,
only fans, and we get that. They are out there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But following that sort of thought process, it's a perfect gateway to that because you can say, "Hey, look, come and see the next generation of NFL players who may come to London in X time." But
yeah.
you're right. The benefit outweigh some of the negatives because college football plays on a Saturday. You don't
Yes.
then have the issue of getting into London and getting back on a Sunday night because it's a Saturday. So things are a little bit more flexible. You
Yeah.
might not have to kind of do that long Hoyk or Cunningham Sunday trains. Ugh,
Just to get back to
and I
work
know,
on Monday.
if you are listening internationally and you're like, your island's tiny, what you're worried about. It might be, but our infrastructure is not great. And a train from as you say, Manchester down to London is a 4-hour trek. It takes a long time and
And
it's
it
bloody
costs a
expensive.
lot of money to
Bloody
get that
expensive.
train.
Bloody expensive
Um,
trains and stuff.
but
So, it has that plus point. It has that gateway possibility as long as they don't go, right, it's Wembley, therefore we have to use XYZ. It costs us this much, and therefore minimum ticket price is uh, 80 pounds for a nosebleed seat. And I know
no.
Wembley doesn't have many nosebleed seats. You get a
Mm.
good view no matter where you are. It's the whole point of Wembley being built the way it was. But you don't want to be pricing a college football game at 80 to £100 minimum. You just won't get it.
No.
London has too much else going on to go in at that going at entry level. That's the entry level. If you want a halfway line seat, you're talking 300 quid.
Yeah.
Not going to work. It's not going to fly. You've got, as you say, people will go 300 quid to go watch two random American college teams. For that money, I could go to a Premier League football match for that sort of one-day event, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of competition that's going to happen. So yeah, the
Yeah.
price point is going to be key to how successful this is but also, just we haven't mentioned it. This is the first one. It seems to be an indication of a longer term partnership. So I don't know if maybe Khan still owns Wembley, doesn't he? The Fulham owner, the
Does he
Jags
actually
owner.
own it? I thought he tried to get in on it, but
Or
it
did
they,
he
they wouldn't let
try to
him.
get? I can't remember. I know there was, as you say, I know there was
There
stories
was
a
a
couple of years.
discussion. I don't think it
Don't know if he managed to,
through.
but is this another one of that sort of link that we're not really aware of?
Yeah, putting down roots.
Put it down roots, get a college team as well as an NFL. Who knows?
Yeah.
So there are lots and lots of pluses and lots of potentials. But as I say, there's just a lot of questions from us and a lot of questions from sort of college football fans in the UK, and some of the college football media in the UK have questions, and we just like some more information, please.
Yeah. And as that comes out, I'm sure some of our little trepidations will be put to rest. I will just say, like, maybe I'm slightly biased in this, but for the love of God, please come to Manchester. Like, I just want a game. I want to be able to roll out of bed one Saturday and then land on the floor, and by the time I hit the floor, I'm at a college football game. Like, I just want that. I want to be able to. I like going to Dublin. I like being welcomed by all the Irish lot that we go and see. I want to be able to be like, hey, listen, you come to my city, right? And we'll watch. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is, as you say, the plus points of it and the potential as a gateway. Maybe use Wembley, the first one, London, Wembley. Most Americans, when they think UK, will only think of London, and that kind of focus them. But maybe if it's successful but not like a massive sellout, they might look around and go, okay, let's find a stadium that's not so big, and maybe Birmingham, Manchester are other locations that have the possibility of hosting this without forcing everyone to London and vice versa.
Well, both do international flights to the US, don't they? Birmingham Airport and Manchester.
Birmingham International, Manchester. Yeah. I mean,
so the infrastructure's there, the link's there.
Edinburgh's sitting right there with a giant Murrayfield rugby stadium, right? Not doing anything on the 19th of September, can I imagine? There's another one. And then you can tie in the tourism of, hey, come and visit Edinburgh and Castle. And, the Americans will love that because some of the stuff in Edinburgh is older than their country. It has everything. So, fingers crossed it's just the first of many, and hopefully they tour around the UK and go to other places.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, it's a reason that Adam actually wanted to talk to us, and it wasn't to talk about games in Edinburgh, right? Potential games in Edinburgh. It weren't to do that. I like the way we did it last week. I think we're going to do it the same way. We'll get the AP top 25 from the weekend, how it was structured. We'll go through them and go through the games, and then we'll by the end of it, we'll find a couple of the games that we're interested in. So we're going to start off with number one was Ohio State, whom we're on a bye week.
Stayed the same.
Great start.
Good start. Good man. Well done.
Great.
Appreciate that.
It's a great start.
Or should we just start Friday night, Saturday morning, the first game of the week, and let's get it out of the way early?
Well, Ohio State, they played Washington last week, didn't they?
Oh no, they did. They did play Washington. They did play Washington.
Yeah, they went up to Husky Stadium.
24-6.
Yeah, which is I think it's an underrated win because going the travel, playing in Husky Stadium, that's not easy. They've got a decent record up there, Washington. So it had potential banana skin written all over it for me, and they've avoided that. So I think there's some merit marks there for that, if nothing else.
Yeah, and it was only 14-6 going into the fourth quarter as well. It was a close enough game.
Yeah.
Just to have bums switching a little bit.
Just to have a few people going, what's going on?
But they walk away with a win. Julian Sayin had 208 yards off 22 completions, 2 touchdowns on the night. Jeremiah Smith went 8 for 81 yards and a touchdown. Not a bad showing. Didn't set the world alight. But like you say there, Adam, it's notoriously tough for some of these teams to go to the West Coast and get wins. It doesn't happen very often. Similarly for some of the West Coast teams coming into the Midwest and getting wins. I can't think. I wonder if one team did manage to go from the West Coast, come to the
Someone
Midwest
figured it out
and
this
come
weekend.
away with a win. We'll go through it.
Some
We'll
team
see.
did. I'm
Someone
sure
figured it out.
I'm sure we'll find out that team later as we work through.
We'll see. Then the number 2 ranked and current holders of the college football MacGuffin were actually on a bye week. They were on a bye week. No one needs to fact check me on this one. I know they were because of the college football MacGuffin. That stays in Miami for another week. Then next up, we had Penn State, who were at home in a whiteout against the West Coast team. Now, as we've said, West Coast teams don't turn up very often into the Midwest and get wins, and they definitely don't do it at night games,
At night
in
games
whiteouts
when
at
it's a
Penn
special
State.
whiteout. Yeah.
Adam, they don't do they?
Well, not normally, but Oregon found a way to do it this weekend. So 30-24 winners. I mean, yeah, again, when I came on a couple of months ago, this game was
Hang on. 30-24 winners, but let's just clarify 30-24 winners after double overtime.
after double overtime. So,
It was
a win's a win. The stat shows a win.
Yep.
You're right. It's easily a game that could have gone. It could have gone either way. There were some moments in overtime where maybe it should have gone the other way. So I think the mental strength to hold it together in that environment, come away with that win, will do the team all wonders of good, just for confidence and rolling forward to when the games start mattering more. I was worried about that game. I saw that. I penciled that in as a loss at the beginning of the season. I'm sure you'll remind me later. Penn State as winning the Big Ten, and maybe they still will.
I think we all did, didn't we? I think
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
So I think I grew a little bit more confident as the weeks went on. I mean, we seemed to be building some good momentum leading into that game. Their games they'd done well, but they hadn't played anyone.
They hadn't gone they hadn't really shown up yet, had they? They seemed
hadn't
to be,
really had that game where they could really show up. Then having the bye week, so I was worried, a little bit worried, but less worried, I think, on the eve of the game. And it just all seemed to click. It all seemed to go right. Moments in the game where maybe they would have gone against us last season, maybe they did go against us in the Rose Bowl last year, seemed to all come good. The atmosphere and the culture that seems to be being built from the top down seems really good. So it's a real good moment for the program. And obviously Oregon being Oregon are making good use of it on social medias. I'm not sure if you probably haven't seen the Ducks versus them. A nice 20-minute montage to our win. I've seen it land actually in my sort of Twitter feed. I haven't watched it yet. So no, good weekend to be a Duck. But I have to caveat that isn't the reason I asked to come on. I was going to come on beforehand. I've just been busy. It just so happened that
you come on.
I'm not just here to gloat, I promise.
No,
as I said to you before we started as well, I was going to stay neutral, and then I put a bright green hoodie on and killed any notion of that. But no, it's a good weekend to be a Duck.
yes, and as we'll always say, listen, if your team wins a game like that, you turn up, you hang your nuts on everyone you want, right? You do what you want. You have earned it with a win like that.
Absolutely, a win like that, it opens up. It's a statement win. As you know, I think we all, Penn State were all perennial, sort of a lot of people's favorites for going to the Natty, maybe winning the whole thing. So this big statement from Oregon to go in there and win that game, a night game, white out, all the hoo-ha that came with it. I mean, looks great. And I'm sure Oregon won't make the most of it by bringing out their own special edition jersey sort of to celebrate this win at all, because they're not renowned for bringing out random amazing
nice
shirts.
and reserved when it comes to shirts.
Yeah, they do have a rather kind of nice tie-in with a rather large organization from the state. So,
I'm glad I don't live there. I'd be bankrupt.
Absolutely broke all the time, wouldn't you? Yeah,
broke all the
but
time.
You'd look good every day.
Yes,
So yeah, a great win, a great overall result. Really shook up a bit of the kind of, as I say, the pre-season hype and the pre-season sort of favoritism and stuff. Has it set you up for the championship now? It's still a little too early for that. We'll see, but a massive fill up for the Ducks, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's still quite a young team at its heart. so I don't want to land too much pressure on them and go too mad week by week. Obviously, you've got Indiana, not this weekend, the weekend after. Still got to play Washington. So there's again opportunities to slip up. But as we found out last year, 13-0 doesn't guarantee you success in the playoffs. So I just like what he's building. It all seems to be coming together, and hopefully that can continue through to January, but we will see. But the interesting thing for me with Penn State is I think for James Franklin, that's 15 on the bounce now against top 6 teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not got a good record against ranked,
Nope.
top ranked teams.
I mean, what do you do with that? I mean,
is it a mentality thing? Is it a him? Is it a?
It must be some sort of mentality thing. I'd love for a sports psychologist to knock out 20,000 words on this, because there's got to be something there. What is he saying? What's he like in that locker room? What's he imparting on these players? Because 15 in a row. I mean, surely you'd win one of those by fluke somehow, by hook or by crook.
You just luck into it somehow,
Yeah,
wouldn't you? With
law of averages, one would go your way.
Yeah.
And there's still a couple of big. I mean, does Michigan got to go up, got to play them still? They've still got a couple of tricky games.
Don't think. No, we've not got Penn State this year. They have to go up again. They've got to go to UCLA next week.
Big walk.
At the weekend. They've got Northwestern, also a cakewalk. Then they've got Iowa, not as much of a on the road, Iowa.
Yeah.
On
And
the
then
road at
Indiana.
Ohio State. Then they've got Indiana at home, Michigan State on the road, Nebraska at home, and then Rutgers on the road.
Yeah, it's not the toughest schedule, is it?
Ohio State and Indiana. Ohio State's probably a loss. Indiana,
Who knows? If
could
Indiana
be a
still
loss.
could be a loss, the way
could be
Indiana
9-3.
yeah,
That could be at least a 9-3.
which is then questioning, are they making the playoffs?
Because as you've just mentioned there, Adam, like you've got your tops. His record against the top 6 is not great. Indiana are creeping right up there, and hopefully they can stick around. Ohio State are number 1 at the moment. I don't see them dropping out of the top 6 between now and
dropping out. No,
the
2 weeks time, is it? 3 weeks? Yeah.
Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's game 4 in 4 games, where I think there's a bye week in there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not easy. That's not a good time around that time to play both Ohio State and Indiana back to back, especially with a road game at Iowa and a road game at Michigan State. At the end of it, at the beginning and the end, it's not a nice place to be. So Penn State needs to be careful. And like James Franklin, my favorite tweet of the weekend was actually by Cy Carroll, of all people, who said he's James Franklin, the Mikel Arteta of college football. And I really, really like that one. It was an excellent point. But just as we kind of wrap away from this one, a huge win again, and we'll get on to what that did to you and the Oregon Ducks in terms of the top 25 in just a little bit. Who stood out for you? What were some of the points in this game that really stood out for you? Because I was watching most of it. Georgia, Alabama's going on at the same time. You like that for watching 2 different screens and it was very, very defensive. Very, very defensive game, especially for the first 6-3 going into the half. Excellent football score.
Yeah.
Wrong kind of football.
Yeah, no, I mean that's fair. It is that real cat and mouse, wasn't it? Each team's was matching each other, couldn't get anything. Well, I don't want to say couldn't get anything going. I think the defenses were coming up good.
I think that's indicative of a lot of games this year where everyone's going, oh, you couldn't really get anything going. It's like, no, hang on a minute. What's happening across the board is defenses are standing up. Defenses are not letting the vaunted offenses do what everyone thought they would, because all of the defenses seem to be on point right now.
I think we were 6 of 18 on 3rd down conversions, and they were 6 of 15.
Yeah.
So it was just a tough day at the office for both sets of offense. Um,
And it's interesting, we talk about polls and rankings and stuff like that. It's one of those games, a 6v3 or whatever it was at the time, or whatever. Neither, even though you guys, so I would expect you to swap over now if you'd like. So you to take Penn State and Penn State to drop no more than a couple of points because it's second overtime against a very good ranked team. We've talked about this before. How much should you drop when you make one loss? And I think this one is one of those ones where I don't begrudge Penn State being reasonably higher ranked than some of the unbeaten teams because, they only just lost to
yeah,
Oregon in second overtime. This is, if games could be tied, a la the Green Bay Dallas game, this would have been tied at 24 apiece. So, it's
yeah,
like, it's one of those.
Yeah.
yeah. No, exactly. I mean, that will go down as a quality loss.
Yeah, definitely. And vice versa
Absolutely.
for Oregon, a quality win as well. So it should stand you in
Yeah,
good stead for, that sort of stuff.
whatever comes next.
Absolutely.
Next one.
Absolutely. So next up we had number 4 ranked LSU who went and played Ole Miss.
Did
Now
they?
there's a title in this game which I'm not sure was appropriate for podcasts. Well, not our podcast anyway. But the Jeremy Kyle, Jerry Springer, Love Island drama that went on where a daughter and a girlfriend was trapped in the middle of two teams.
She
Father
chose
comes
this
away with a
week
win.
she chose this week though to announce the fact that she was
Yeah,
dating the linebacker of the team that her dad's was just about to play. Timing was odd. Timing was odd to when to bring that out, but also did it give Old Miss a little bit of impetus to turn up and show that upstart LSU team? Maybe because they went in and LSU gave them a damn good game. Let's be honest, it was 24-19 to Ole Miss in the end, a really good game, but it is a little bit. I don't know if it's weird. What is this? Does this show more about Ole Miss or more about LSU?
I think it says more about Ole Miss.
yeah. I
LS,
think that's fair.
LSU on the road. I
Don't
mean,
tend to be traveling great.
it's not, but that's just it's you're the road team. Yes, you're the favorite. Um, wait, were they even the favorite before? No, before
Yeah.
the game
Well, they were higher ranked. They wouldn't. I'm not sure if they would
at
have
the
been.
very start of the game. By the looks here, it was 70 win probability was 74.6% Ole Miss, according to ESPN. The LSU starts off with the touchdown as well, by the way, which is obviously a great start early in the game. But then it just felt like Ole Miss. Then, then Ole Miss turns up and wham bam, thank you,
Just
ma'am.
gets
It
it
is
done.
17-7 at the half.
I think
Um,
LSU might be a little bit worried about their run game. I mean, they had 57 yards on the ground,
Yeah.
average of
yeah,
2.6 per carry. That's not going to be enough going forward.
and
And we've seen this from them a couple of times this season now, where they haven't quite got going.
Mm.
yeah, and I did as well. Equally, you spoke about the down conversions in the Oregon Penn State game. These are where games are won and lost. These are where some of the stats you really. So you've got LSU who were 2 for 11 on third down, whereas Ole Miss were 8 for 16. Now 8 for 16, 50% conversion rate isn't too bad. In fact, it's quite good. Whereas 2 for 11 is terrible. And if you cannot convert on third down, then you're in trouble. Both of them were 2 for 2 on fourth down as well.
Mm.
Just to throw that one out there.
Yeah,
And
and it's not enough. Not
turnover
enough.
game was pretty close as well, 2-1. Unfortunately not in the favour of Ole Miss, who had 2 turnovers. But it was like you say, trouble getting going on the ground. You are not being dominated on third down is always a bad place to be as well. One of the best parts, not to get into the drama side of it though, because that's now done and gone, and we're not teenage girls, but also let me be one for about 30 seconds again. There was one point where Will Weeks was spotted throwing up on the field.
Yep.
Not feeling well. I'm just throwing it out there. Undercooked chicken the night before, made by Landry. Not saying secret
Not
agent.
saying it's true. Not saying that final game. When was it? A few seasons ago in the Premier League that Tottenham was
Oh
it? Tottenham
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Tottenham,
Traveled to
wasn't
West
it?
Ham or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And ended
yeah,
up
yeah,
with
yeah.
like dodgy stomach. Anyway, moving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah. There was quite a few of the players who I saw. There was a clip. There was a player who the only catch he made of the whole game was the fact he caught his mouth guard.
yeah.
When he was,
It,
but
it,
yeah, there was a few like that. Yeah, and a great win. And I don't know. I think you're right. I mean, I listened to friend of the show Spencer McLaughlin's preview of this game, and they had the guy from Ole Miss on there, and they were like, LSU's run game it's not really clicked, and their offensive line isn't really on it yet, and Ole Miss defensive line's pretty good, and he thought that's where it's going to be won and lost, and you should say 57 yards on the ground is it's just not enough. It's just not going to do it. You're going to then you're reliant on your passing game, and then you become one dimensional if you can't get a run going. So we all know how that works. If the team knows you're going to pass, it makes it a lot more difficult for you to actually get a pass. So
even in the air though, I mean, LSU passing with Garrett Nussmeier
he's
went
only
21 of 34, 197 yards,
it's
in
not massive, is it?
comparison to Trinidad Chambliss, who
Great
went
name.
23 of 39 for 314 yards. Both of them went for a touchdown and an interception. If you're getting 57 yards on the ground, 197 in the air, as opposed to your opponent who's getting 166 on the ground and 314 in the air,
You should lose. You should probably lose by more than 5 points
Yeah,
as well.
um,
yeah.
yeah. But
So,
that,
the plus points for LSU is they kept it to 5.
yeah. And like I say, the overall Ole Miss a much better team. Again, like this game was on. I'm checking in between loads of other games, so may not.
It's made the LSU win against Clemson a lot less impressive. Clemson have managed to do that all by themselves, but also,
Yeah.
has that win elevated LSU standing up to this point, and now that they've come up
Yeah.
against their first real competition, because let's be honest, Clemson have been nothing but a disappointment for everybody. Maybe that's that's where I was going. Does it show a bit more about LSU that maybe they're not all that, and the Clemson game was a little bit of an over exaggeration?
Yeah. On to the not so small task of what we have dubbed here as the El Clasico of college football, Georgia versus Alabama. Now, this
Whee!
game did not end the way anyone thought it would,
Not true.
per se. But Alabama walk away winners of this one, 24-21 in Athens. Again, watched a good chunk of this, was joined by a good friend of the show and Hurdle, the line host, Chapman in the AAW Discord server.
Georgia
Again,
fan, I
join
believe.
it. Georgia fan for the first half of this game. Oh, it was a good chunk of the first half of this
Good job.
game.
It was the first half of this game.
And it was it was a watch.
Mm-hmm.
It was a game of football. Wasn't the lights out game we kind of come to expect from Georgia or Alabama.
Suffered, I think, for that build up. One of those games where it's like Georgia, Alabama, it's going to be blockbuster, and it ends up being down and dirty and arm wrestly and tight and niggly and not great because it's so big and the players know it's so big and it's such a big sort of thing. Often ends up being not the lights out kind of football game that everybody wants to see.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Bama getting that result reignites their season.
A little bit. You would think so. Now this game was going on at the same time as that other okay game that was going on. So I don't think too much attention would have been paid by yourself to this one here, Adam, but I imagine you would have at least got some of it come through. One, at the time, and two, I can imagine you've at least got in and had a look through it the next day. What did you get from this game as and when you saw it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like we were saying, it's one of those. It's like a Premier League game where two teams rip each other apart and it ends up 0-0.
Yeah.
Just very tight. Georgia, you know what you're going to get. Pretty good on the ground. I mean, they found 227 yards. Gunner Stockton disappointed a little bit with only 130 through the air. Um, but yeah, it was just a tight game. I mean, how many games you've seen this season where we get no scores in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? You look at that and you go 0-0 in the fourth quarter. It's like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, Ty Simpson managed to find 276 yards through the air for two touchdowns. So he had quite a good day. But again, Alabama's rushing was only 117 yards. It's not big blockbuster stuff. It's just a war of attrition, and Alabama found a way.
Yeah.
Would be my take on it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think either team particularly disgraced themselves. I
No,
just don't think either. It was a
neither
game
team,
that had all the air
neither
sucked
team
away from
set the
it.
world alight either, did they? But it
No.
was, another one of those, you say, two good teams kicking lumps out of each other to get you know, basically being so close to each other and so level playing field that neither really got ahead of themselves, got away from anything, and it ended up being an arm wrestle.
Yeah.
Yeah. The point that gets me right now is just that Georgia have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different players that put up a rushing statistic. They have 5 players who put up a receiving statistic. I 100% see where you're coming from with Gunnar Stockton being disappointed, and I get, but also I'm going to argue here that actually, to be fair, after watching a bit of this Georgia team now, the talent's not around him. It's not what we used to seeing from a Georgia team who we used to seeing talent all over the field. Gunnar Stockton's kind of been left to try and do a lot of it on his own. I mean, like the rushing stats, what you got, five carries for 22 yards. But yeah, 13 completions off 20 attempts for 130 yards and a touchdown, 78.6 quarterback rating. It doesn't light it up, but also this might have to be just one of those you chalk down to Georgia as well, just not having the talent across the field.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
they don't seem to be as stacked as they have been in previous years. At the moment, some of these guys may come good as we get to the business end of things, but yeah, no one's really jumping out at the moment, are they?
No, and yeah, I think that's just kind of unfortunately where you're at with it as far as Georgia goes. I'm just trying to go. And so two of the players who got receiving statistics, by the way, were also primarily rushers in the game, or are primary. You can see where I think Georgia have tried to get at Alabama by having some of the receivers get in on rushing plays and
Mhm.
try and just throw some things that would confuse you out there. But weirdly enough, we're walking away from a massive game now and saying, fair play, Kalen DeBoer had the Kalen DeBoer got one over here on someone. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got quite a good record against Kirby Smart, isn't
just in general, Alabama have a great record against
he? Yeah,
Yeah.
Georgia. It just reminds again, we would call it the El Clasico, but it's not like there haven't been times where like Barcelona would just have Real Madrid's number in the league, or Real Madrid would just have Barcelona's number. Look, no matter what
yeah.
would go on,
Yeah.
it just how it works. We've already, I believe, well, yes, we have spoken about the little matter of Oregon. By the way, this is one thing I will say about Oregon as well at the weekend. My favorite college football mascot is the Duck, and he was elite on college game day. The signs in the background, was it Sydney Sweeney who was throwing shade to?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Everyone got it. Everyone had it.
ev
Stray bullets everywhere.
he is between. He's my. the Duck's my favorite college football mascot, and Blue from the Colts is my favorite NFL mascot. The pair of them together when they do content, I feel like such a child just watching mascots mess around, but they're hilarious. They're absolutely brilliant, and just the content that they get out of it. To let someone
Yeah,
just get in a duck suit and just say, "Fuck it, have as much fun as you want,"
do what
and
you
they
want.
go,
Go
"Okay."
nuts. Start doing press ups, all
But
sorts.
there was one a couple of weeks ago, wasn't there, where as part of the run out or whatever was happening, I believe the duck head
You fell over,
may
yeah.
have become detached, and the poor guy had to literally, you
Bolt
know,
it back.
bolt it back inside because they can't be seen without it and whatever else. And it's supposed to be, you're not supposed to know who's the inside of those mascots. I think
Yeah.
it was great to see, and then I think they followed it up with, they really led into it. So yeah, mascot content. We're here for that. We're here for mascot content at all the time. And let's continue talking about mascot content before we move on
Nope,
to the next ranked team
nope,
that you want to talk about.
nope, no, 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 no.
Come on.
Mascot chat is done.
Damn it.
Number 7 ranked last week was Oklahoma. They were on a bye week, so we won't talk about them. Let's talk about someone who was number 8. And yes, actually, let's talk about Friday night. Let's get round to Friday night. A little matter of being sat in Discord and watching Gary's life slip slowly away from him as he goes
Slowly
into
eke
madness.
away. We
Virginia,
looked good. The white outfit that we were wearing looked nice. Yeah, our unis
right,
looked very clean,
right.
which is about the only thing that the Florida State was clean
Well,
that game.
I mean, let's do it because it turned out to be, from a neutral perspective, a fantastic game. Goes to overtime,
Double
but
overtime, didn't
it
it?
was one of those cases, right? The first half starts, anything that could and would go wrong for FSU went wrong.
Yeah,
Virginia capitalized. They go ahead. They get 14 points up. They were 14 points up
all two
just inside
turnovers.
the second quarter, and then Summit switched, and then everything that could go wrong for Virginia went wrong. FSU kept getting really short field position, and anything that could go
Yeah,
right went right. You not only overturn a 14-point deficit, you go
up
ahead 21
21-14.
point,
Yeah,
and then they get a touchdown. Just so then, yeah, then they bring it back. They get a touchdown to end the second quarter, level game
yeah.
going in the half, and it just Gary, what went on?
It was one of those games where, as you say, it was peaks and troughs. It was like we couldn't get out of our own way. We gave Virginia 14 points just off of bonehead plays or not holding onto the ball, fumbling, just throwing it away. Literally, just like, here, have 14 points. And then, as you say, stormed back 21 points in the second quarter. Suddenly, it's like, okay, maybe it had kind of got out of their own way and whatever else. But they just consistently, Florida just kept running into themselves. They kept doing stupid positional and giving away penalties, which are like 12 men on the field, or those kind of penalties, which were just, I wouldn't say coaching penalties, but they just weren't great overall. And they were also momentum killers. You kind of get going,
Yeah.
and then you get an illegal formation or a shift, or on defense you end up with 12 men on the field, or you do something, you're like, just what's going on? And we talked about it in the Discord channel. It was 2 in the morning or whatever it was, and it's slowly getting more and more frustrating for me. What's not, or has been mentioned a lot, is that the coordinators at Florida State have completely changed this year. Mark Norvell went, cleared house, and got all the new coordinators in. And with that comes some communication issues, and with that comes some problems, and with that comes some bits and pieces. And a lot of it looked like those sorts of problems where the OC was either kind of giving them by the time it got into the huddle and got out of the huddle, it's like, it's too late. You can't set up for that. Or the communication, or who's going on and which teams and which formation on the defense he wanted to play, a little bit confusion. So therefore you ended up having like 7 defensive backs on there, and they're all looking at each other going, you shouldn't be on this one, and you are on, get off. And I think there was a bit of that. So I'm kind of gutted it happened, but I'm also kind of glad it happened now, because hopefully, no disrespect to Virginia, ACC team, good enough team, showed, like in college football, any team on its Saturday is able to cause an upset. But I think if this would have happened against Miami, it would have been so much worse.
Yes.
Because Miami, you wouldn't have allowed us to get those 21 points back, and this could have ended up being quite a shellacking against Miami, because Miami is a good team, and they wouldn't have allowed FSU to get 21 points back in one quarter and those sorts of things. So it's a poor loss. It's not like world ending. Oh my God, you just got, the Indiana, Illinois recent sort of, 63-7 or whatever else. This was again, like yours, an overtime loss against a ACC conference contender, challenger. So, and also a subtle reality check to most Florida fans. Let's be honest, we were shockingly terrible last year. Yes, we started off. Yes, we beat Bama. Yes, we beat Texas A&M. No, sorry, East Texas A&M, but East Texas A&M. We were 3-0. Everyone was going, "Oh yeah, we're back. We're going." It's like, whoa, hang on, let's pump the brakes just a little bit. The team was absolutely terrible last year. Tommy C's done great coming in. This might be just what they needed in a weird way of like, you're not it yet. You still got some bits to work out. Now we've got a chance to kind of lick our wounds, if you like. Nobody expected to lose against Virginia, but if you cock up the way they did and do so many stupid errors, you're going to get found out. Let's tighten everything up against what's going to be a very tough Miami team, but also maybe just a little bit of, break reality. We're not there yet. It's a rebuild. It's a repurposed, it's a retooling year. This might be where we're at. We are still a bit still a bit mistake prone, etc., etc. Still some things that need to be quite, tidied up. So I'm not. Yes, I expected a bit of grief from the team and the media and whatever else in the group that we're in. Got it, because there are a number of Florida fans and whatever else in there, and everyone likes to shoot down State when they start to do stupid things. And there's one line in there: "There's nothing better than watching Florida State shoot themselves in the foot." And that's indicative of what the game was like. It wasn't that Virginia were great. Virginia were competent and good and whatever else, but they maximized the potential and they maximized the opportunities they got, which was Florida State coughing a ball up, throwing the ball to, lots of that sort of stuff. So a bad loss, but a good loss.
You don't expect that in week 5, do you? Some of those errors.
Yeah.
So it does suggest a little bit of complacency, maybe, but I can imagine.
Also, I think we were coming off the bye anyway as well. So, there's that. So were they already thinking they've spent a lot of the bye week preparing for Miami? So was the complacency, as you say, oh, let's just get through Virginia. We don't have to do too much. And they got found out.
Yeah. And, I can imagine that coaching facility is very locked on and focused and watching a lot of film of what happened this weekend going into the game. So, there could be some benefits and focused minds ahead of the weekend.
Yeah, and that's the silver lining I'm looking for, rather than just going, "Oh God, woe is me, everything's all terrible." Take the learnings from that. Don't do the stupid mistakes that you did this week. Don't allow the wrong players to run on the field. Don't make stupid penalties that cost you, yardage or momentum. Tighten everything up against Miami, because even if you have all those things right, all of your players need to have possibly their best game of the season to get a result this weekend.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, speaking of running on the field, did they find your wide receiver in the end?
I think he's still in the end zone, sort of buried.
He's still buried under all those people somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah, absolutely. And although, we've talked about storming the field and how passionate and everything else college football is and whatever else, that one's a bit. I get it. Yes, you've beaten FSU, who were unbeaten at the time, but it's only week 4. Let's not get ahead of week 5. They don't need to storm the field. But at least other field storms that have happened haven't been so instantaneous, where literally the players are still, as you say, they're still lying on the field in the end zone. there is absolutely no way, shape, or form that our receiver was able to get even to his knees, let alone to his feet, before 10, 20, 30 people had run over him.
As the play's going on, because obviously they're on
This
a
is
level.
this is already now like extended game. I think again,
They're
I
on,
think
they're
it
on
was
a
a double
level,
overtime, wasn't it?
aren't they? You're naturally in a higher position at a college football state to start off with an American football stadium. That you're on a platform essentially. There's the wall first. You watch the replay. I've watched it a few times. They're already waiting on the side. So
Yeah,
literally the second bang.
yeah.
Normally a field storming takes a couple of seconds because people have to climb down first before
Get
they
to the
were
field. But
already ready.
this was the end of double overtime. They'd already kind of it was late enough. They already started to eke towards the exits or whatever else, and yeah. So literally, there was no gap between end of play, thousands of people storming onto the field. And obviously, I haven't seen anything, strangely enough, on the news about how much they got fined or whatever else.
I
They
can't. Yeah.
must be.
Um.
I'd be surprised if there wasn't some extra dispensation. I know we've talked about it with Nick before that the first time you get this done, it's $500,000 or whatever it is. But I would not be surprised if Virginia were hit with a slightly higher level of fine because of the
50,000.
50,000. Was it just it's the same standard, is it?
But it was mentioned that they could have been hit with more because it was dangerous and unacceptable the way it happened.
And I think that across the board, everyone has agreed that this was a little too far. Uh, I saw social media everyone going, "Oh, what a great!" and laughingly, and some of the memes about the missing the Florida State wide receiver and there's a chalk outline in the Virginia sort of end zone, and that's all funny and whatever else. But it also kind of covers that sort of aspect of that actually was pretty dangerous. If that guy had, if he'd have been injured on that play, you'd have had no way of knowing he was injured on that play because he was literally swarmed. Thousands of people ran over that corner of the end zone. Who knows what potentially player safety issues could have happened there, and it may detrimentally have an effect on what the NCAA do about field storming and allowing it to happen or not to happen. And it good news in the case that no serious injury happened, but it showed that it could have been pretty nasty if he had have fallen badly or whatever else. If he'd have got an injury there, none of the staff, none of the trainers, anybody would have known about it for a good couple of a good 30 seconds or so.
I'm wary of time. We need to fly through this because we've still got quite a bit to talk about.
We haven't even talked about next week's games yet.
Texas A&M, they come out, they edge one out against Auburn, 16-10. I don't think too much needs to be said on this one. I don't know about you guys.
Didn't really see much of it. A tight game again. Another one of those two reasonably matched teams. Texas A&M just eke it out at the end.
And they remain undefeated at 5-0. Texas were on a bye week.
Yep.
Weren't they? Indiana.
Good tough win away at Iowa. Good tough win for Indiana.
Yeah, that's not an easy place to go, Iowa.
Mm-mm.
And they edge it out.
And it seems like Mendoza is it for Indiana.
Yeah, he really is. I need to just double check one thing before moving on because Iowa got a safety at the end of the game. I love a safety.
We all love a safety. Yep.
Everyone.
I think it was probably just Indiana running out of clock, realizing, hey, we'll take 2 points here when the clock can run out. And it's safer to take 2 points than it is to throw the ball away for an interception and potentially lose the game.
Texas Tech walk away with
Red Raiders. How did Red Raiders get on?
There we go.
Do they play?
They did not.
No.
Doesn't look like.
Ole
Miss spoke about them, but let's talk about everybody's favorite, your Dublin superheroes, Iowa State, who had a very comfortable win over Arizona.
Just Arizona, not Arizona State.
Yes, just over Arizona. Very comfortable. Never looked out of stride or anything. This game was one of those unfortunate ones that kind of got caught up in two other games were happening at the same time. Both of them were far more important. Very sorry, Iowa State.
We love you, Cyclones, but there were other bigger games going on at this point. Also,
They were.
the disrespect on Iowa's name. They need to be ranked higher, but we'll get to the rankings soon.
Yes, we will. Tennessee were on a bye week. Again,
Were they? Were they?
I'm pretty sure they were because I know Mrs. Fletcher did not watch any Tennessee this week.
Tennessee played
Oh,
Mississippi
they
State.
played Mississippi State, yeah.
What the hell? I again, I'm having
Won
to
in
flip-
overtime by
Overtime win.
overtime win with the touchdown.
Yes, that's the one.
Joey Aguilar looking good.
He
Looking
is
good.
for 34-34 to end the game, and then overtime, Tennessee get the win. Apologies for my misinformation. And again, I did not watch much of this game. There were other things going on, too many other things going on.
Yeah. This was this the late game Saturday that after the Friday game? I think there was no chance of me getting to the end of this.
Well, at the same time, you watch it about halftime not even halftime. I was watching Arizona State.
Yeah.
Because they were on Friday night. Where Georgia Tech edged one out again in overtime against Wake Forest. That was a dangerous
Surprisingly close results. Yeah.
The only thing I remember,
but again, similar to the conversation we had about FSU and Virginia, interconference, if you like, game. They're never easy. They're like, slight derbies, if you like. Both teams know each other pretty well. If you're not on it, and Georgia Tech were a little off, a little bit misfiring, therefore you're never going to just roll teams in the ACC. They will put up a bit of a fight, which is what Virginia, as I say, Virginia took full advantage of FSU's misfires. Wake Forest just didn't have quite enough to take full advantage of Georgia Tech not being on it.
Yeah. I did mention at one point in the game, Georgia Tech, they were getting beat and it wasn't particularly close. Look, they let up 29 points to Wake Forest. Kennesaw State didn't. Listen, playing defense against a team like Wake Forest isn't for every team from Georgia. Kennesaw State can do it. Doesn't mean everyone else can. And it did look for a while like the game was getting out of hand for him. They obviously pull it back. Next up, and I'm going to like again. Adam, by the way, just chime yourself in at any point while we just fly through the last couple. Vandy, Diego Pavia continues this streak. I don't know which family member is offering out to which podcaster. None of us have been offered yet.
Not yet,
so
but hey,
we'll see.
I'm sure he's got a sister. But he
Vanderbilt,
seems to continue. He's continuing the trend. 5 touchdowns he threw. What the frick?
321 yards, and then got 78 yards on the ground as well on a touchdown.
It was just the Pavia show, wasn't it?
It is at the moment. He's in fine form.
Yeah.
Then we have Missouri, who little needs to be said about this one. 42-6 winners over Massachusetts.
Sneaky good, Missouri. Sneaky good. Being under another one of those that are bubbling around the lower ends of the AP rankings or whatever else, and probably should be higher. They'll give every team that they come up against a game. So watch out for Mizzou.
After a blowout, and we do mean a blowout when we say blowout, and it was a blowout of blowouts against Indiana, Illinois return and get an edgy win over a ranked USC team. They very much needed it. USC had not just been hovering around getting into the bottom of the top 25, they were hovering around and they were slightly edging their way up every single week. Illinois get the win over him. Boy, did they need that. Boy, did they
big
need
win.
it.
Big win for the Fighting Illinois, this one. Shame for USC. Tough loss after a tough turnaround schedule. I think we spoke about it. They played literally, this was the week where they played the last game the previous week and were one of the first games of this week. Yeah. So their turnaround time was almost 24 hours shorter than every other team. So a tough sled for USC to go all the way across country, kick off sort of almost a day earlier in their preparation than they had done, and to still almost make it with, you know, minus, whatever, all those in. It's a good loss for USC, but as you say, it's a good bounce back win for Illinois as well.
Yeah, massive for them. Next up, we have Notre Dame, who walked away, as mentioned before. They 56-13 over Arkansas at Arkansas. The game was over by halftime, 35-13. Would have loved to have had Nick on to tell us a bit more about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get shut. Arkansas gets shut out to end for the whole second half. Notre Dame walked with a touchdown in the third and the fourth quarter. TJ Carr, 22 of 30 for 354 yards, 4 touchdowns. They get a touchdown on the ground, and Faison went for 89 yards in the air. Dominant.
Dominant
Just
performance.
dominant.
It's a performance of the Notre Dame performance that we would expect at the beginning of the season, and hasn't been there. So maybe they're getting right. And, they just took the first couple of weeks off.
I think it's taken them a few weeks to figure it out, and they seem to be clicking a bit more now.
So they might be making a run, but they're going to have to go unbeaten from this point on before they can become relevant. And even then, their schedule isn't that strong, so who knows?
What we'd also have to say, though, is the only 2 ranked teams that they've played, they lost. And at the end, I know they were close losses. You can't think you, but they pretty much blew away Purdue. Like, that's not tough. I'm pretty sure the Manchester Titans could do it. Arkansas blew them away. Probably same. No, probably not, to be fair, but still.
NFL Academy would give Arkansas a good game.
I'm pretty sure they haven't got at this point a quality win, and USC have been bounced out now. Pitt are not in there. Syracuse aren't in there. Stanford aren't in there.
They're struggling to get a good quality win on that schedule now. So they might just get in just because it's Notre Dame. That's the only thing.
You're gonna have to hope that it's gonna be as though you have to go all out. You have to get a few really good wins in there, because right now there are some teams in and around that place who will get some good wins throughout the season. So you've got to really, and you've not just got to win some of those games. You've got to win them. You've got to
do the stuff that we've talked about. If you're rolling into a team that's unranked and whatever else, you've got to be putting 60-70 on them to prove that you are it. Yeah.
But TCU and BYU both lost as well, to my knowledge.
TCU lost to Arizona State in the.
That was a very good game, by the way. As I mentioned, I was watching that simultaneously to the FSU game. Very good game.
Looks like I should have probably watched that game rather than the FSU game. I'd have been less stressed. Probably should have done. But yeah, it also looks like a very good game. Also looked like a very good game for my Fantrax fantasy team, because I had both Levitt and Tyson in that team, so I scored quite highly there.
Yes.
Good to see Arizona State starting to get some wins as well, because they were highly touted after last year's win. Hopefully they're on the fan again, like at Notre Dame. They've kind of worked it all out and getting back onto it now.
Kind of what I mentioned in terms of even just not because they're playing in London next year, but you can actually go through a lot of the previous episodes, end of last season to beginning of this season. We haven't adopted Arizona State per se, but what we've done on this pod is we've really found an affiliation to just Kenny Dillingham and everything he's doing at Arizona State. You really want people like that to do well. You want to see them get success. He's a temp man through and through. It's like Mike Gundy, just a much younger version earlier on in his career. Well, no, Mike Gundy, he played for Oklahoma State. He went to Oklahoma State. He then goes and coaches somewhere else, but comes back. His whole life was Oklahoma State, and it's similar for Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State. His whole life has been, he's from Temp. He went to Arizona State. He met his wife at Arizona State. He is an Arizona
He is Sun
State
Devil,
man
isn't
through
he?
and
He
through.
is Sun Devil football.
Exactly. And but adding the fact that he took them through last year for him, should be last place in the entirety of the Big 12. So winning the Big 12 is just so impressive, and it's a beautiful underdog. We want Kenny Dillingham to do well, but also the better Arizona State do, the better next year's London game looks. go with the success of the London game. So not that we want to be selfish about it. I just simply want Kenny Gillingham to do well. Very glad that they're getting back into it. And
Just
BYU,
conscious of that one while we talk about the London game. And if you are suddenly interested and you want to go and find out and you watch a bit of Arizona State football and go, oh, these look really good. We'll be looking forward to seeing these next year. Some of those players won't be there.
yes. And BYU,
Like the one that they're using on the poster.
BYU did edge a win out against Colorado, who have been in a lot of trouble for their chanting towards Mormon individuals.
Mhm.
Yeah.
$50,000 fine has been issued to Colorado for that.
Starts at the head coach position, doesn't it, really?
Big rivalry. That's a big rivalry game, though. They don't like each other, those schools.
Yep.
Couple other mentions. I want to get a mention out there yet again. 3-game winning streak. Winning record for the first time since entering the FBS last year. Ladies and gentlemen, your Kennesaw State Owls.
Best team in Georgia.
Well, I had to ask in the group chat,
Well, second best team.
how high am I allowed to rank him this week? Like,
Mhm.
I feel like I'm going to get laughed at for putting him in the top 10, but I'm really hyped at the moment.
Unbeaten. Are they unbeaten? They're not unbeaten, though. You can't put them in top 10
3-2.
if they're not unbeaten. So, yeah.
I know, but the Kennesaw State. So,
But they have
the
tripled their
problem
FBS
I have,
winnings this year, right?
1.5 times.
Yeah.
So
1.5
they got 2 wins all season last year. They're now 3-2 this year. Coach Mack doing a fantastic job with everyone. My only problem with them, and this is, I say it's a problem. At the end of the day, it's working right now. They start so hot. They've started so hot the last couple. The game against Merrimack was like one of the sloppiest, most disgusting wins you could have ever asked for. But it's okay because they won. They've started out really hot the last couple of games. They've gone up by 14, 21, really, really quick, really up really quite a bit, really, really quick. And then it's a game of, right, catch us if you can. Bernard has been fantastic. Amari Odom has been fantastic. But they have a tendency to start really fast and then tell teams to catch us if you can, and it gets close towards the end. You have to finish these games. Start off strong. Yes, try and play that game. You can slow down a little bit, but after not long, teams are going to start to catch up to you, or they're not going to. You're going to come up against the team. A Liberty won't let you run away with it. You're gonna have to find a way to hang around in those games where you're not, instead of fading away constantly throughout the game. So that's my only thing. Any other games that took you this weekend that you managed to come across?
I think they were the key ones for me.
Yeah, I was top 25 this week after Friday night, Saturday morning. It
Yeah.
reduced my capability of being across everything by the time you get to bed at 5 in the morning. So
Yeah,
Yeah, I always keep a little eye on South Carolina because I've got Lenoir Sellis driving my draft bus for this year, so I'm keeping an eye on him.
it's a good one. Also, how did Cal get on? Does anyone know? Cal Bears, because they're
I can't remember.
I have to dig
I
that
don't
one
know.
out. Afraid. Sorry,
Um,
just throwing that in there because I believe he's quite a.
Oh, this one was a disgusting game. This was a disgusting, horrible game. By the way, but shout out Oklahoma State. They lost 45-27 to Baylor. Gary, your Baylor Bears are 3-2 this year. They're 1-1 in the Big 12. Keep
Watch
an
out!
eye on them.
Watch out!
But Oklahoma State put up a fight throughout that game. Mike Gundy's gone. You wondered how they were going to respond. This was a sick and disgusting and horrible game. Anyone who went to watch it, should be given a refund.
San Jose State,
Diego
Stanford.
State Aztecs against the Northern Illinois Huskies. Field goal. Sorry, first quarter, field goal. 7 minutes and 50 seconds off the clock. 16 plays. Then you have a 13 play, 63 yard, 7 minutes and 15 second drive. That's 2 drives that have lasted the full first quarter. 2 drives. Field goal. Then it goes punt, turnover and downs, punt, end of half. Start the second half. Interception, punt, interception, punt, interception, turnover and downs, punt, field goal.
Oh, if you made it to the end of that game, yeah, fair play. You deserve all of the freebies that they were giving away.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. When
you know,
when your
it's got a lot of
highlight reel,
alcohol. A lot of alcohol would have
oh,
been
wow.
drunk on that game.
When your highlight reel can fit on like a Snapchat or a TikTok video, you're not doing well. You're not doing well. You deserve your money back.
I mean, shout out to the punters in that game who probably had more snaps than just about anybody else on that field.
I'm probably
Very
exhausted.
well played. It will come to you as no surprise that teams had very few first downs. There were a lot of individual teams that had more first downs than in either team put together in this one. Uh, Only a couple of turnovers, not a lot of yards. It was a very, very painful game. I saw this one pop up via the Sickos committee.
Oh dear, that
Love the
says it all.
Sickos. But if the Sickos committee are like, yeah, even this game's a bit too far.
Wow. If even they're saying that, then you know you're in trouble.
I've just found it. There was 13,512 people that are owed a refund.
Yes.
Yep. That stuck it out, turned
How
up at least, or
What they don't tell you is how many were there still there at the end of like at halftime.
yeah,
I imagine 512
500.
people,
I'll say, but by the
family
kickoff,
members.
I reckon, yeah, I reckon you can count more yards in the game than people in the stadium, and there's not a lot of yards in the game.
I reckon the beer snake had more yardage than some of those
Yeah,
offense.
Yeah.
probably. That's the same Northern Illinois that beat Notre Dame last year as well, by the way. Um, who walk away.
AP poll. Let's get to the AP poll.
Yes. So, okay. As is customary, that is the end of week. Does this
5.
computer?
5.
No, I would say does the computer want to grow up a little bit and actually do its job? There we go.
Computer's going. Do I
Um,
need to? We're now
Computer says
45
no.
minutes in. We haven't even got to.
Computer just says no right now. Okay, so the AP poll is back, and then this week, let me get this thing back up.
Old Miss, definite jumps.
We have so highlights in the AP poll this week. Like, for crying out loud, do you want to actually? Both computers right now saying no. Okay, here we go. In new teams are Virginia and Arizona State, who have snuck their way back in there. Out are USC and TCU after their losses at the weekend. Big rises this week. We've got Ole Miss, who've jumped up 9 places after beating LSU. Alabama, who beat Georgia, have jumped up 7. The big fallers this week are Georgia, who dropped 7 places down to 18th. LSU, who dropped 9 places down to 13th. And FSU, who are free falling, down
all the way down
to
to 18th.
18th, 10 points dropped. I will give them this. We often have debates over, look, there are teams that you beat someone, you don't go up very far, they drop very far, or you go up quite far, but they don't drop. It's weird how it works sometimes. The Georgia Alabama game, Alabama go up 7, Georgia go down 7. LSU Ole Miss go up 9, Bama go LSU go down 9. Who both of them are basically flipped, by the way, the LSU Ole Miss game. Thoughts on this week's AP poll?
Well, we're getting to that point now. We've got 4 or 5 games in for each team, so you're going to get this disconnect between the unbeatens, the quality unbeatens, let's say, and those that are carrying a loss, and where
A
should and
good
shouldn't
loss,
they
bad
be?
loss, as we've talked
Good,
about. Yeah.
you're into that good loss, bad loss debate. So you start getting that separation. So we've got what 1 through 6 are all
6.
unbeaten. You've then got Penn State with that, as we called it, quality loss, and then you've got Indiana at 5-0. So we are starting to see that separation. You need to stay unbeaten to be carrying a 1 to sort of 8 now. It's getting a little bit tougher.
Yeah, it's interesting as you say. Those top 8 kind of stand out. Texas being at 9, I think, still a little high. Still is, and then I still, as I say, the disrespect on Iowa State, they should be higher. Don't know why they're mixed in with all that one-loss team when they're unbeaten and they're flying. Yeah, there's a few in there that are slightly higher than I would expect, slightly lower. As I tongue-in-cheek said it in our group, Fletch. That with Bama beating Georgia and then we beat Bama at the beginning of the season, should it not be FSU, Alabama, Georgia, one after the other at 16, 17, 18? I don't know how that works. Why Alabama beating Georgia gives them such a bump when we beat Alabama. So surely we should be up there because it's still the same. Anyway,
Yeah, but then
moving on.
Can we put Virginia at 15 then?
By right, you'd be looking at Virginia at 16, FSU at 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
That kind of, you start to get into that silly realms.
I mean, some of the ranking methodology used by some of the voters on the AP poll has been well publicized.
Pretty picture, that'll do.
Pretty picture, nice uniform.
Silly uniform, something, yeah.
But for some of the other voters, I guess there's the performance, there's the record, but momentum needs to play a part as well. And you're right, you've got the likes of Iowa State who are on a tear up at the moment, showing good momentum. You've got Texas 3-1. Okay, the record is probably okay, but have they got momentum at the moment? Are they?
They seem to be
showing that they're on a
stumbling.
bit of a run?
They've only got a good couple of wins recently against teams that they should be absolutely spanking, really.
Yeah. So it's a delicate balance, isn't it, between the record, the quality of the record, potential.
And also interesting, I wonder if they've ranked Texas because they know they're off to Florida next week at game day, and no, they want to make it a bigger game than it really is.
Big ranked game, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not good because I'm still not a fan of having Notre Dame right there at 2-2.
2-2. They should not be anywhere near this, which is great because that leads us nicely on to.
Yes. Right, I need to remember which way around. There we go. That's that correct way around.
The ranking that really counts.
Yes. In the UK and Irish college football media top 25 ahead of week 6, brought to you by The Touchdown and all put together by Cy Carroll, the absolute legend, who, look, the graph that goes into this, guys, I don't think we understand the graph that goes into it. So huge shout out to Cy, and as always, if you want to see this first, we post it on our own. AEW posts it a couple of days later, but if you want to see it first, always head down to the Touchdown NFL on Twitter. In this week for the UK and Irish college football media, funnily enough, is Arizona State and Virginia.
Yep.
Going out is, funnily enough, TCU and USC. Similar vein, the big risers are Alabama, who's gone up +10, and Ole Miss, who've gone up +8. Big fallers are LSU, who've dropped 14 places.
Mm-hmm.
FSU have dropped a whopping 11 places, and Penn State have dropped 7 places.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if it's in closer indicative of, as I mentioned, that LSU team might have flattered to deceive, so therefore that loss to Ole Miss has impacted them stronger from the UK and Ireland sort of media perspective. I think it's more valid that they dropped as far as they did. Penn State, as we talked about, probably may have been dealt a little harshly in regards to the loss to Oregon, I think. But maybe, as we've said, they just don't quite seem to be at it yet. So maybe that explains a little bit about that one. And obviously our loss is our loss.
Yeah.
What I'd love to mention here, by the way, and I'm sure in particular, Adam, you might want to join me on this one. I'm pretty sure Paul Feinbaum actually put this together, because the fact that Penn State's loss has thrown them down so far, but Georgia's loss at home hasn't.
Barely moved them.
Barely moved them. Alabama have obviously flown up with that win. It counts a lot for Alabama, but Georgia have been knocked down. FSU have been thrown down. Am I sensing a little bit of SEC bias here in the UK and Irish college football? Mate, I'm joking, by the way. Also, kind of not.
Careful, we'll have our media credentials revoked, mate.
Well, we don't have them yet. It's fine. So no, but I sometimes I do struggle a little bit with this, and it's Georgia, and I kind of get it. The one thing I have a problem with is Alabama and Georgia should at least be flipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's fair. It gets
And I don't
it
think they
gets
should be both.
difficult.
I don't think they should be top 10. You know, that's my. I'd have them maybe 10, 11, or just outside because, as I said, there are some better no-loss teams that should be in there. Iowa State should be at least in 8th, I would suggest. You know, a couple there. Mizzou, as I say, about right for Mizzou. Maybe a little low on them, but I do think they're a sneaky good team. I love the fact that the Memphis Tigers are still in there, though. That's where they
Yes.
should be. And
Yeah.
and what I also love is the conversation that the North Texas Greens just missed out on being ranked this week.
Yeah.
And all power to my little North Texas Mean Greens.
And
Yeah.
it shows you how close it is and how many of those teams on the fringe, just how many votes they are getting, because I did put Kennesaw State in at 4, and that didn't quite get them into the top 25 even. So clearly
Not yet.
that's a joking.
Oh
And
yeah,
also
keep going,
with
keep banging that drum.
with a little bit of jest, I say, in the SEC thing, because as well, if there was genuine SEC bias, LSU would not have flown down that far.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to see that, like, there are places in which we feel very, very similar. And as I said last week, this is where we start to see, Adam, you mentioned there's a bit of discourse here. There's a bit of like it's quite easy to see, quite fun to see, like, how do we actually view this differently to the general lay people because of those quality loss teams versus unbeaten teams and all that kind of discourse that's going on. And I'm sure it's going on within the minds of DAP poll voters as well.
Mm.
But what gets me a lot is just seeing, like, how similar we value things, but also just like I say, it's just where the values lie, I think, of the voters here, which
Yeah.
is interesting, and how,
Well,
yeah,
well, maybe we can be a little bit more objective because we're that little bit further removed. So there's a maybe more when you're working for ESPN or whoever else on the AP poll, maybe the pressure to vote certain ways or the what you're hearing, the inputs, influence your thinking one way or the other.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe we can just a little bit of distance,
Yeah, and I think a
clarity in
lot
the
of our
mind,
votes done Sunday into Monday, whereas I think the AP poll it's all about getting it
almost
out
instantaneous, isn't
literally.
it?
It's
So I think
almost
maybe
there's some games are still going on, aren't they? The votes are going
well, we
in.
had
So
that a couple of times. I think USC was still playing
yeah,
last week when the votes were coming out. Um,
yeah,
so you know, we take that little bit more time, the extra day just to really think about what we saw and think about the trajectory as well a little bit of what we're seeing. I think in the moment, would my votes change if I did them late Saturday night, early Sunday morning versus Sunday night? Yeah,
possibly.
maybe call
I
it.
think there'd have been a
I think they
couple of my
might do. I
votes that
think
would have
mine
slightly
probably would
changed.
because it's more, you know, I think it allows what it provides us is the ability to kind of review a lot more scores and results. Whereas,
Yeah,
you know, if we were trying to go right quick, we've got to get it out Sunday morning, it would literally be a case of
reactionary.
I mean,
scan sort of the scores only and kind of go, oh yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, bang, done. This gives us, you know, I think our poll gives
Yeah,
a
I
little
think
more thought to the games.
you need that time as well because with college football math, like we were talking about, where one team loses to the other and then there's another loss, you need the time to really think about how that all plays out and what that means.
Yeah,
Especially because it's two-way. There's teams you have to punish because they've lost. We needed to punish Penn State because they lost, so they need to drop. And
yeah,
there's teams we need to reward by going up. But which one do you do first?
yeah.
And how does
yeah,
that all then layer?
And how does it all then? How did the cards shuffle? Because you know you look at last week, and right, you got these top 6, and Penn State was in there, but you go, oh, they've got to come out. But then, hang on, how far out do they go? Because
Yeah,
then you start to put the other teams around, and the LSU card, that
Yeah.
kind of kept getting shifted. It was like, oh no, you can't. You've got to put them in. No, they can't go there. Oh, there. That seems about right for the loss that they've just had.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little harsh, but it kind of fits because you've had that retrospective time to think about it.
Yeah. I'd also say this, like again, I'd get pulled up for being a homer. Yes, I'm a bit of a homer, but I try not to be. And I think if it's much closer, like when Michigan lost to Oklahoma, for example, where my mind was at that Saturday evening, that Saturday night, if I had to rank, they'd have been nowhere near my top because I was
Yeah,
pissed off. And as much as I don't
emotional.
want to be
You're
a homer,
emotionally invested.
we have emotional investments with our teams, we have emotional investments against teams, and I think giving us that extra few hours, that extra it just allows us to get rid of the biases, get rid of some of the emotional attachments we've had to the weekend, and allow for clear thought to come through. And also, I think one other thing I do want to say is just like it's just cultural differences. We have a culturally different way of looking at sports. We have the Premier League where you get 3 points if you win, a point if you draw, no points if you lose.
Yep.
There is an objective, and at the end, it's what matters is accumulated points. There's no such thing as a quality win in the Premier League. Even in the NFL, we look at the NFL, we see there's no such thing as a quality win in the NFL, unless you're looking at power rankings, and power rankings don't mean anything.
I
They're
don't
just
mean
the
anything. It's
list
just a
people.
it's just a talking head thing. In the NFL, it's just win-loss category. That's it.
So
That's all that counts.
I like seeing again. I love having it. I disagree with Nick on some of the things that we put together in terms of like I do believe in genuinely quality wins and quality losses and all that kind of thing. Nick values wins and losses far more than anything else, and I love that kind of discourse and how we view that.
Mhm.
Going into week 6, there are 8 free to watch college football games. In fact, I want to double check that it is 8 because these change every now and
Vandy. I
again.
thought Vandy and
Vandy's on the slate now, isn't it?
Vandy's on the slate, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Which is
saying. Games get
Vandy
added.
must be on the slate. I'm sure Vandy's slate's appeared because it's. How could you not put Vanderbilt, Alabama on?
Yeah.
Jeez, what a game!
Um. Oh, for crying out loud! Come on, DAZN. Oh, I know why.
You got all the other stuff on. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Vandy, Alabama has been added to the slate at the 8:30 slot. So rather than watch what is should be an easy day at the office for Mr. Manning, why not watch
Yeah.
Vandy, Alabama, which is going to have an awful lot more riding on it and an awful lot, a better game.
I think it'll be Vandy, Alabama, and during ad breaks flicking over just to see
Just to
if
see how
there's
many
someone.
points they've rolled up. Yeah.
Well, to make sure he can get it going and
Yeah.
it does start clicking for him. Or
Interesting if it doesn't against Florida because they've been
yeah,
pretty rubbish.
yeah. And I think pressure, that's obviously an SEC game. So if it goes wrong in the swamp, then
Mhm.
the pressure really will be on. And the
Yeah.
talk will ramp up.
Okay.
Mhm.
Couple of games have been added since I made this graphic. I think they must have come through today because I made the graphic yesterday.
Mhm.
At 5 p.m. on DAZN. Again, games are free to watch. All you need is an account. That is all you need. Obviously, at 2 p.m., we've got college game day, highlight of every Saturday. Then at 5 p.m., we have the Iowa State Cyclones, your Aer Lingus Classic champions 2025. Take on the Cincinnati Bearcats. Then we've got the University of Kentucky, UK, at Georgia at 5 p.m. Then at 8:30, we have Virginia at Louisville. Again, if you're looking at the graphic, there are a couple of
Sneaky,
different games.
sneaky close game, that one. I think Louisville unbeaten could. Yeah, I've got a feeling that the Cardinals might take the Cavaliers there.
Gonna be anyway. So also at 8:30, you've got Vanderbilt at Alabama.
Oh,
Texas at Florida. At 9 p.m., we've got Kent State Golden Flashes, just incredible.
great name. Just a great name.
At Oklahoma, meaning by
They
9
should
p.m.
get, honestly, the Kent State Golden Flashes should get absolutely rolled. There should
even
be a
without John
mercy game.
Matei.
Even without me, there should be a mercy game rule involved in that one.
But also, like that game by 9 p.m., if you have DAZN, you can multi-view it, and it'll allow you to, because you'll have 4 games on the bounce, you'll be able to large screen the multi-view.
Nice.
At midnight, we have
Pretend to be
Texas
Scott
Tech
Hansen.
at Houston. Mississippi State at Texas A&M at 12:30. Then also at 12:30, we have the MacGuffin Bowl.
The MacGuffin
Miami
Bowl.
at Florida. And finally, at 3:30 in the morning, if you are just rolling in from a night out, or if you are a degenerate like myself, at 3:30 in the morning, Duke at Cal.
If you manage to stay up for the Duke Cal game, you will get a QB eye-opening from the Cal QB. He's really good. His name I can't pronounce. Don't ask me to pronounce his name. But yeah,
also,
the Battle of the Sunshine State was definitely, obviously, the one that my eye was drawn to. Probably would have said the game of the week, but the Vandy Alabama game has probably maybe just edged that from a ranking perspective. But I think Miami at Florida State. Oof, I don't know what to expect after losing to Virginia. I hope, as I say, the team have tightened up some of those errors. They're ready for it. Maybe they were so focused on the Miami game that they undercooked themselves for Virginia.
yeah,
It'll be interesting to see how Miami come off their bye. I just yeah, it's going to be a good one. It should be a good one, and hopefully it's not one of those, oh, it's going to be a good one. It ends up being the arm wrestle 14-17 squib that we've been having. I don't foresee that, and I think Florida State's defense is good and fast and aggressive, but by being good, fast, and aggressive, it does open itself to being also, big play ability, and Miami have that, and vice versa. So, yeah, that's one that I'll be definitely on the Discord, staying up late to watch that one.
hopefully. US, sorry, one that gets me this weekend, by the way, it's not on the zone. Clemson, North Carolina.
I thought that.
That's got
I
some
thought
interest.
that would be interesting.
Two underwhelming teams so far. Two disappointing.
Yeah.
Not quite there yet, but what happens to the coach who loses that game?
Well, certainly one seat that's getting hotter and hotter.
Yeah.
I
think it's. I don't think Bill's seat is in any shape or form getting warm.
He's got
unless Jordan's been sat on it. But yeah, the Clemson job is starting to maybe warm up a bit, and if they lose to North Carolina, is that another head coach in the mix for the merry-go-round?
Yeah.
Do we also think if Texas absolutely roll Florida, Billy's going, or are they sticking it out with Billy for the end of the season at Florida?
I can't remember how expensive he is.
I think we talked about it last week or something. I think he's got a fair whack that he'd walk away with, that they'd have to pay him if they'd let him go. Because I think he was clever enough to kind of do well at the end of last season. So then, whilst on that upswing, he kind of went contract renewal.
Renegotiate.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it's just there's a few things, and as we mentioned, some of the coaches have already been let go. There's already names, and there's already blood in the water, as it says. So who knows? Depending on how the results go this week, if other coaches are also sort of relieved of their duties.
Yeah. It's not a difficult chair to fill, I imagine.
Plenty of suitors. A couple of interesting games. Michigan State, Nebraska stands out to me. Again, I'm really enjoying watching Michigan State at the moment in terms of a football perspective. I hate it that they're doing all right at the moment. Makes me feel a bit sick, but they are good to watch. So where I go, a couple of the games have actually stood out to me here. For
Boise State at Notre Dame. Interesting. Just from this was
it,
touted as like the game on Notre Dame's schedule that would be a good win because Boise State from last year. This was going to what Nick hoped was going to be potentially a ranked win. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it looks like Notre Dame currently are at like 20.5 point favorites at home. So it's obviously changed the perspective. But trap game.
Yeah,
Penn,
definitely.
Penn State have a get right game against UCLA.
Yeah.
A very, very bad UCLA team.
Yeah.
24 and a
Could be a
half for
hiding.
favorites. Oh, Penn State 24 and a half.
Yeah,
Away.
in a Big Ten
But
game.
then, saying that, interesting, the Iowa State game, Cincinnati. Iowa State only 1.5 points. Only 1.5 points on a 54.5 over. They're favoring Iowa
Yeah.
State 1.5 points.
Wake Forest, Virginia Tech could be fun. Virginia Tech at home, so as always, just stay for the
Lights out.
walkout.
Stay for the lights out.
Leave
Stay for the walkout.
leave the game. We have a military match this week.
Yeah, is it
Air Force and Navy.
Air Force Navy, isn't it? Not quite the big one.
Nick's ready to just not, well, I'm going to say not watch this game. That's how far I'll go with it. Nick's ready to not watch this game, dislike both teams that play in it. I think, again, anything else standing out to you here, Adam?
No, not really. It's perhaps not this. I mean, there's some big matches we've talked about, but it's not quite as slate it was last week.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
not even close.
there's the few storyline matches like we talked about, like the Clemson one for me is one I'll definitely be keeping an eye on because I want to see what happens over there and what that means coach-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are they? No, it's not much. Okay, so there's one other thing I want to mention, and it's not about this week, it's about next week. But by the time next week's episode's out, it'll be too late to just, well, we'll start talking about it properly. In
You'll turn this way because we can't hear you.
In a few days, starting Wednesday night, so not long after we finish the recording of next week's episode,
Are we into action?
Starts a very, very special time of year where there will be 54 consecutive days of either an FBS or NFL game every single night.
54 days of football.
54 days. That will
Wow.
last from the 8th of October to the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Amazing time. Amazing time to be alive.
So we get midweek Maction, we get midweek Conference USA, which doesn't have a fun name, not nearly as fun as Maction.
I'm really missing a trick there, aren't they? So then what could you call it? Conference USA doesn't lend itself to CU. Anything with a CU at the beginning is not a good not a good anagram, is it?
No.
Moving on quickly
on.
before I put myself in trouble and we get taken off air midweek.
So,
no.
But yeah, this time next week, by the time we're done recording, I will be editing the episode and whacking on some midweek action.
Midweek action. 54 days of football. What an alliteration, eh?
What a time to be alive.
Starting with, I'll just mention this one real quick now, because this is where it gets really weird, because we start have to talk about games that haven't been played yet and all that crap.
What's kicking us off?
Next Wednesday night, it's Missouri State at Middle Tennessee, just a world-class Conference USA game.
Wow.
Then you've got
Liberty. Setting the bar high. Liberty
at UTEP. No, it doesn't. It's not the same. UTEP.
Only works for Liberty, doesn't it?
And then, just in case some of you don't get in time for next week's episode on the Thursday night football includes Louisiana Tech at your Kennesaw State Owls. East Carolina Tulane, Jacksonville State Sam Houston, and Southern Miss Georgia Southern. And then as always, Friday night side.
Friday nights in the leads on. Well, there's some interesting good starters there. Good starters for 10.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to know what I'm doing next Thursday night while the NFL's on, it's watching Kennesaw State.
Yep. Because I can't even remember who's playing Thursday night football next week. This week I'll be watching Thursday night football, unfortunately.
Okay. So, right. Again, wary of time. I think we're just coming up to about the 2 hour mark of recording, maybe slightly past it. I'm not sure. We did start recording a little bit later than usual. Someone decided to have their dinner late. Yeah. Okay. Before we go, that just leaves me without further ado to obviously thank my wonderful co-host there, Gary.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you were going to start with the important one. You're our esteemed guest, Adam.
Finish with the best. You finish
with the best. Fair point. Good point. Good point.
Then we have Adam. Then we have me. No, we have. Obviously, we have. Thank you, Gary, for joining us, and most importantly, thank you to our wonderful guest, college football Adam from College Football UK View. Just give us a quick. Where can we find you? Obviously, all the links will be in the description anyway. But where can we find you? And what have you got coming up?
Yep. So as you can see, mirror image, college football ukview.com is my blog. So I always put new stuff on there, and I'm active on Twitter as well, CFB UK View. So they're Twitter X is the best place to find me. Most active on there. Twitter, the blue, well, it's not a blue thing anymore.
Don't call it blue sky because you get confused because people will go
that'll be something completely different. But then on the blog, so yeah, just trying to keep the content coming as the season goes on. I'm having a little play with a model at the moment, which I'll put something out on. I was trying to build a model that was just all stats, all quantitative factors. So strength of schedule, margin of victory, all that stuff to see how different it looked. So I've done that for a couple of weeks without really talking about. I talked about it on our group chat because Florida State came top, but I wanted a few more weeks of actual data into it before I
you put it out in the world.
So I put it out in the world maybe later this week or certainly the weekend, maybe after week 6, I'll do it. So yeah, I'll just try and keep the content coming.
Keep the headaches flowing. Keep the
headaches flowing. Yeah, exactly.
Look forward to Michigan being number 1 and Kennesaw State being number 2. I can't wait.
I'll see what I can do.
God, yeah, you're gonna have. I know that's leading down the whole statistics joke of
lies, damn lies,
and statistics. Yeah, you can always make data work for you if you want to.
I was going to say whatever numbers need to be
manipulated, should we say?
I'll slip you some cash.
It's amazing what you can do with an Excel formula
and a pivot table,
and someone offering you 50 quid. Like I agree. As always, the links will be in the description of the episode. You can also go down and you can find links to follow myself, follow Gary, follow the College Football UK podcast, follow the AAW network, and get in touch. We will be on again this weekend in the Discord watching football. You put the game on, whatever game you want. I'll put my AirPods in. Gary will hopefully be on there at some point as well. We'll be watching the
probably
games
later. I'll come in later. I might power nap because I'm in that sort of generation where I need a power nap before a midnight kickoff.
I'm fathering it up this weekend until only a couple hours before that game. So the last thing anyone wants is to listen to my 8-year-old give me back chat for a couple of hours and then argue with me over bedtime on a Saturday night. No one wants that.
I don't know. Could go viral. It could have more views than anything else. More listens.
It could do. So we will see you next week as we review week 6. Look forward to week 7. And I think next week we'll because we're about halfway through the season for some teams.
We'll have to review our predictions of some of the conferences, won't we? We'll have to dig out some of that sort of.
See you later.